Got some rareness in here, dude. This is crazy. This is a Syntropic Agroforestry system. One of the first ones that I was really seeing online. We're at Pete's place in Florida.
Thank you.
10-year-old food forest. We're at Pete's place. If you're not planting food, what are you doing?
What are we doing? Just to be able to drive past agriculture down here and it to be more than one species would be revolutionary.
You know Pete Kanaris, Green Dreams in Florida? Oh. Just spent all afternoon with him, walking around his systems, his nursery.
This is probably one of my favorite fruits.
That's my favorite thing about this food forest, agroforestry space is the community, right? You can make all these connections all around the world, people who understand the same language as you on the Food Forest Fellowship, where there's a ton of people who are in that same boat, doing food forest in their own little corner of the world, a place to connect. Let's keep growing. That's so nice.
You got it with the miracle fruit?
Wow. Oh, legendary.
Cool little tool you got.
Yeah, it's from Brazil. Yeah, I mean, the machete's cool and stuff, but I like my fingers.
Way safer.
Definitely a little bit safer, huh, boys?
Okay, cheers, man.
Cheers.
Yo, we got the Namwa banana.
Kiwi strawberry flavored banana, half a rack. Came down out of the Syntropic system just a couple days ago.
Let's go.
Speak of the devil. The best part about coming in here is almost every single time I come in here, there's a fruit ready to harvest. A couple of red Jaboticabas. This one's a little overcooked. I didn't want to hand you that one.
Jaboticaba. Whoa.
Once you taste this, it's like, why am I growing these my whole life? For an area that I'm in Central Florida, they're very cold hardy. You know, they'll take into the 20s easily. They stimulate with the cold. They fruit with the cold.
Really?
So, you know, for something that fruits 6-7 times a year. And when I first got into the Jaboticabas, you know, yeah, they're amazing. You just tasted one, right? They fruit off the trunk. They're beautiful. You had just that typical Sabara variety, which is good. It has a 10 times thicker skin than this. Takes 10, 15 years to fruit. You know, I mean, like, that's a long time, you know? I mean, like, we can raise a kid and he'll be driving in 15 years, you know? Which I'll show you when we get in here a little further, 3 years from seed, you know? So it's, these advancements in the world of Jaboticabas are really fun.
And look at this. It's just...
The older these things get, the gnarlier these things get. They never stop flowering and fruiting. So you can see there's fruits that just rotted away. We didn't even get to them in time. This is a really rare variety called lemongrass. Has like a pinkish yellow on the new growth.
Interesting.
This is the Grimmel Jaboticaba, very famous variety that came out of the Florida Keys. Adolph Grimmel selected this one. It's probably the biggest fruiting variety. It also has a thick skin, but we're talking a golf ball sized fruit that will come off of here.
Golf ball Jaboticaba.
Oh, here we got a rare one. We might actually get to try. Let's see what's on that. It's not bad. So this one's 3 years from seed. Not a great example of the size of the fruit, but you can kind of see they have a little bit of green on them still. These are a little bit, I don't know if you'd say more sour. I'll let you taste it and you tell me, but I didn't get any sour actually. It was still delicious.
This can take 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mid-20s, no problem.
Wow.
I've had them in 17 degrees here, and we had one year really cold weather and fully exposed. The trunks cracked and everything, and the trees still lived. They're going to get pissed. Most of my clients that buy Jaboticabas are in New York.
Really?
You know, they're in balconies.
Yeah.
You know, so think about this. We have this beautiful, everybody wants to grow a house plant, right? Now we've got this plant we're putting out onto our balcony. Now in the coldest time of the year, when is that? Christmas? Oh wait, we're bringing a tree inside that maybe has fruit on it at Christmas time. Like you're bringing the tree in with the ornaments. Like, you know what I mean? Does it really get any better? You know, it's kind of like it's a win-win. So, ton of Sapodilla right now. These typically need to be picked and ripened inside, so we won't usually find one on the tree. As I say that, ooh, I'm gonna let you peel at this. So they taste like a pear dipped in brown sugar, and let me just tell you what a treat this is. This is probably one of my favorite fruits. I definitely cannot reliably grow these here.
Pete, this is awesome.
Phenomenal. Whoa. Phenomenal. So this tree in Costa Rica is probably one of the most sought after hardwoods there is. They call it like Nispero. There's a non-fruiting variety and a fruiting variety, but like from what I've heard in South Florida all the way down into like Homestead, like after like these major 200-mile-an-hour like Andrew hurricane, these are the only trees that were standing. So very, very, very strong, salt tolerant, wind tolerant, building material wood. They fruit almost all year long. So if you're in an area you can grow Sapodilla, I'd be having these outside. Obviously we're in a 9B, I'm a little further north, but this is one that like it gets a spot in the greenhouse because it's so good. To find one right on the tree like that, you just got really lucky.
Brown sugar.
Yeah.
Wow.
phenomenal. It's like a pear dipped in brown sugar, like phenomenal. These are the ones you want to separate the dates. Yeah. Angatuba. They're phenomenal. This is probably one of my favorite varieties of the Jaboticaba just because of the soft leaves.
Oh, wow.
Yellow variety.
Super different.
Have you ever had a yellow Jaboticaba?
Never.
We're going into my zone one. I've never done any irrigation work here since I've moved in. So the client that lived here before me had irrigation, but we're talking north side of the house, no irrigation, no mulch, in the rock, which isn't typical. Jaboticabas normally want water. Like this thing is fruiting all the time, thriving on neglect, and almost never stops fruiting. This is the yellow Jaboticaba, and you can see it fruits a little bit further out onto.
Whoa. Those are all fuzzy as well.
They're fuzzy. I think they're one of the most unique flavors, but a very, very low flesh. It's like a fuzzy, the flesh is all over the seed. There's not a lot on there, so it's
oh, look at that. That's a yellow Jaboticaba. Tastes like apricots and bananas.
The new growth is probably the coolest. It's like a felt. Like when you feel the end of the leaves on these things, like feel underneath the bottom of that.
Ooh,
see what I'm talking about?
That's velvety.
Yeah, it's very velvety felt.
And then the taste is, whoa. Imagine having an agroforestry system just full of these incredible Jaboticaba. Unbelievable.
I tried them in my agroforestry. They didn't do well. Honestly, I picked a pretty shitty spot on the property with some really shitty soil, though, to try it, which is good. I mean, good and bad, I guess, right?
Yeah, we're going to dive into all the things you would have done differently in the agroforestry.
Do you have any other insight onto more of the business aspect of? A lot of people are trying to make a living up doing this, you know? Nursery is one.
100%. I think nursery industry is a huge part of this. You know, that was how I got my feet wet. You know, I didn't know anything about it and been kind of learning as I went. You know, and I think it's a great small scale. I think we need to infiltrate, like I was talking about, like the citrus industry. You know, like the grower industry. You know,
Larger
like
scale,
larger agriculture.
Scale agriculture.
Yeah, that's one of the conversations that we've been having is like cute permaculture versus like actual like agroforestry.
A big difference. There is a big difference. You know, and one applies to one scale and one applies to the next scale. Just to be able to drive past agriculture down here and it to be more than one species would be revolutionary. These are kind of cool. These spiral gingers actually have a little edible side flower. It's actually more preferred when they come out with the red tip on the end of them.
Oh,
the whole thing.
That's lemony. That's
The
nice.
whole thing?
That's a
So
little
good.
sour, a little sweet, you know.
Oh my gosh.
If you get the red cap on the end, it really gives you like a, oh, it's nice. It will grow up by you.
What just happened in my mouth?
So when we first started here with the nursery, it was a small little section here along the back fence. It actually started in the corner and it grew that way. And then it grew out as much as I could grow. And then it bumped over this way. And then, you know, as you can see, as we've gone around the property, it's
The ever expanding nursery problem.
yeah, it's just key, you know, every time you look, like I said at the other property, I mean, if I don't put the mat down, they stick the plants there. So I have to try to keep up with them. As we're talking, I'm sorry, I lost a little focus. There's a plum over here with little purple fruits that is like screaming at us.
Ooh, I see that.
Wild
I might
safari.
eat me from across
Do the whole
lawn.
safari tour, man.
You know, I'm not scared to throw a hedge trimmer on it and slam through it really fast.
We're producing a great amount of organic material.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the thing. What'd you say this was? A plum, a scarlet beauty.
Yep. This one was way better.
Oh, that's bomb. Scarlet beauty.
I should have honestly named this place Laughing Fruit Barn because I seriously, there's days I get off work and I walk around and I eat fruit and I laugh. I'm like, you know, holy crap, we planted this, you know, and here we are enjoying this and like, oh yeah, I forgot I planted that. Oh yeah, this is ripe right now. Like it's like a big kid out here, you know, it's like Willy Wonka. Peaches and plums out here.
Peaches
and a really, really nice one.
Cowpea's been working so well for me up north.
This iron clay cowpea is probably one of my favorite cover crops. There's some big moringas over there, some olives, you know. Oh,
That's delicious.
here. These are those white ones I was telling you about. They do get twice as big, but
Freestone as well.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
I believe this is tropic snow.
Unreal.
We just prune these trees once a year. We don't irrigate them at all. Just out here kind of thriving on neglect. I mean, now I have had a couple trees die off. These trees are getting old. Peaches only last 10, 15 years. So like I'm in the process of probably gonna have to replant out here.
Well, they're that early succession of your agroforestry system.
That's it. I think that these actually shrunk a little bit in size here. The fact that we,
Just the drought.
the drought will revert and pull the moisture back into the tree.
They're incredible.
Wild.
It's like a loquat bite size.
Honestly, squeeze them, bro. If you find ripe ones, every one of these, you guys can help yourself to. Can't eat them all. So a lot of people, when you think grapes, you probably think, you know, out west. I think they said 22 or 4 native species that have been found in the Gainesville range of Muscadine grapes. So, you know, not your typical bunch grape, but a grape that will actually grow here.
That's also super interesting because looking at the agroforestry lens is like looking at the native forest, what it's doing. It's a vitiforest, right? It's a grape forest. Leaning into the grape side of things with the agroforestry, like that's the answer. If you don't know what to do for your agroforestry, look at the local ecosystem. What is that doing? Dude, how do you have time for all this? You're doing so many things. The nursery, you're expanding everything with the businesses. Like you got fruit that you're harvesting. You're planting these. Like, what's going on? How do you do this?
Did I ever said I had time? I mean, you know, you have to pick and prioritize, and what's most important. Sometimes, you know, it's unfortunate you don't always get to everything, you know, and it's balance. You know, I think it's just like everything in life. We have to find balance in our personal life. We have to find balance in our, you know, our aftertime life, and balance while we're working. And I spent way too many years working 7-8 days a week, you know, making more days in the week than there actually were, you know, and not slowing down and enjoying, you know, and that's what I've tried to do the last few years is slow down and go see other friends' sites and enjoy food with friends and not just work 7 days a week, because that's all I did here for 7 years. I mean, every day I'd plant all weekend long. But now look what's happening. You know, we're coming out and we're enjoying it. So I don't know how I do anything. I'm a magician. I juggle a lot, and I just kind of seem to make it work, I guess you could say. I get lucky.
Well, as you're on that route to visiting more friends, you're always welcome in New Zealand.
I can't wait. Yeah. Oh, right there is actually, see the one with the yellowing on it?
Oh, yeah.
That one, it's got a couple of little bit of pest damage. You can see something scratching the side of it, but that one might actually be right.
Getting there. Man, we've got some of these white Sapodilla in New Zealand, and the fruit are just like pound ball. They're all this big.
They get big? That's about as bad how I've seen these yet, too. You know, I believe they're distantly related to citrus.
Really?
From what I heard, so I've always been wondering, you know, if the green could affect them in that way. One of my favorite aspects of the tree, and I don't know if they do it for you, but the new growth, like
super red.
Well, yeah, they're beautiful trees when they flush. This is the Turk's cap,
Dude,
man.
I love these Turk's caps.
They are so delicious. Most people, you know, the sweetest part is right there inside the end of that cap.
Yeah.
So when you take the cap off like that, ooh, whole flower's edible, but it's like pure sugar there on the end.
Super nice. This is crazy. This is a Syntropic Agroforestry system. One of the first ones that I was really seeing online. We're at Pete's place in Florida.
Thank you. I would say Syntropic inspired, you know. I mean, I came fresh home from a class, just, you know, learning a lot of the basics. And
same as most people, you do a course, you learn, you apply it, you take the feedback. What kind of things have you been learning over the last few years here?
So I will tell you that the Mombasa grass was probably one of the most impressive parts of the system. If you look across the system, you'll see we've kind of transitioned out of having originally rowing it out with the Mombasa. And I tried every way to cut it, from having a BCS with a sickle blade, cutting with the scythe, cutting with the hedge trimmer. Obviously, the best way to cut it would be having a machine that we talked about would do the cut and lay. That's how we're going to scale this. But had a market gardener working with us for a couple of years. We transitioned our rows from Mombasa to production. So we had trellises in here, tomatoes in here, zucchinis in here, vegetable production. I mean, no matter what it was, radishes, he was growing something to here. So we kind of changed the grass out. This is the Mombasa. So you can really see like the blade difference. I mean, like vetiver, Mombasa, probably the amount of nitrogen that's inside of this, breakdown content wise, recovery wise,
to regrowth.
Unbelievable regrowth. I will tell you, I originally, you know, just used irrigate. We put irrigation in to establish this, and I was like, let it thrive on neglect. And I wasn't giving it a lot of water. You know, we didn't do a lot. The grass, I mean, it was green, it was lush, it was growing. You're watching the videos, it's doubling in size. But once we started doing the production in the rows, doing the cover cropping and actually putting some water to it, you know, like if you look, there's 2 racks of bananas. I just harvested that one. It was in the back of the golf cart. Almost every row, I mean, going back this way too, had a rack of bananas in it. We're coming out of wintertime. Like for this time of year to have bananas for us is not typical. We're typically harvesting our bananas in the fall. I've been most excited about on this system, I think, some of the nitrogen fixing trees we've been playing with, some of the NFT. You know, with my lines, my furthest northern line, the idea was as it got to be mature, my avocados are all the way down there on the north end. Those are going to be my tallest trees. My mulberries are all the way down there on the southern end. So it is kind of stepping its way up a little bit.
Yeah, if you don't want to shade everything that's behind a big shady evergreen.
Exactly. I could have went a little thicker, I think tighter with the vetiver. You can't have enough mulch material.
They're doing about 30 centimeter spaces in Costa Rica.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, you can't have enough. This should be a wall. You know, it should be like literally like a box, closing it out, you know, where there's almost no gap in between. I've made videos of and doing consulting, you know, only place I ever see a healthy citrus tree is underneath an oak tree. That's it. It's the only place I've ever seen it. And I've been talking about this for years. I've been filming this for years. I've been telling people for years. Well, finally, the state of Florida picked it up from one of my videos. They did a research project on it now, and they've put out reports saying that oak tree leaf oils will help to stop and turn around the green. You know, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Oak tree, you know, like oils. When you hear oak oils, so I'm like, I heard about this. I go to the class to hear the state guy talk about it. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, are they syringing it out of the tree? You know, what kind of GMO process is this, you know, to get oak oils? And they're like literally just sticking green leaves in a bucket and soaking them for 24 hours. I'm like, well, you're telling me you're seeing results from just putting them in water. Imagine if we start doing this more like the compost tea, and we oxygenate it, we add some other, you know, good stuff like.
Yeah. Do you feel like you could have gone more dense on the support species, or super happy with the density of, like, you know, because obviously this was quite experimental when you were starting. You're playing around with these new species like interlobium and all these ones that maybe you hadn't been so playful with in a food growing system. If you did this system now, if you like leveled it and started over, what are some of those big changes that you might consider making?
I would do more interlobium and more bananas.
More bananas.
I really like the biomass that comes out of the banana. They're very productive out here. I think it's remembering too, like you're not always just growing them to eat them. You know, like when I would think back to Ernst's videos, like all I think is that man cutting bananas with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing. Like he's out here with a steel chainsaw cutting bananas, you know what I mean? Just growing them for biomass, you know? So more interlobium, because I really like how easy that tree is to work with. So instead of like, we did this testing out a bunch of different nitrogen fixers, you know, there's some that I wouldn't use again, and there's some that I would go heavier in. I guess the only thing that I'm unsure what I would do more of, and it's just because we're in such a temperate kind of in-between area, you know, we're not tropical and we're not really cold here. We're in this in-between. Like let's face it, I could grow mangoes and coconuts if it wasn't for 10 nights a year. You know what I mean? Like it's 10 nights that screw it all up, you know? So I don't know what other production tree I would want to put into the system. That was my goal here. I wanted to build a model. I wanted to build a system that I could take to like do a citrus guy and be like, hey man, like this would work. You know what I mean? Like you could scale this, you could do this with machinery like this. These are your commercial crops. You can harvest these lower crops at this time. You have these crops, you know, trees coming in at this time. You're not just getting this one crop a year. You know, to me, it's like such an easy sell.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. More nitrogen fixing trees, more bananas, maybe some more Jaboticabas, just because I see the long-term value in growing them more off of fruit. Why not? Because they're so cultivardy. I think persimmons is a big one down here in Florida. The avocados, like there's like this untapped Florida avocado market. Avocado mafia kind of runs the avocados through this country. You know, we don't see a lot of Florida avocados for a reason. You know, and it needs to be changed. You know, like we need to localize food. You know, and we have this opportunity to grow like these amazing Lula and Lila and Brogdon like avocados that take into the teens that have edible skin on them. Yeah, it's not like this, you know, the problem is that everybody wants the grocery store looking avocado. They want that avocado they're used to, that green avocado that came from California, and it's like, hey, you know, that avocado had to get picked at the wrong stage. It traveled for how long to get here? You know, this avocado will grow here.
They're a great family tree because they don't all just dump the fruit at once. You can hang.
You can pick them and ripe. Yeah, so and the coolest thing is down here in Florida, like for my clients that are in Tampa, you could have 3 different varieties of avocados and have fruit 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, that's us in New Zealand.
It's amazing. Like, why would you be buying avocados? Like, you know what I mean? People talk about oil content and stuff down here. We need to grow more avocados, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely a big one that I could see going into heavy into Asian persimmons a little bit more. I think that those are, because we have so many native persimmons already down here.
Right.
And I'd love to see mulberry be commercialized, like
a
firmer, stronger mulberry, like this Thai dwarf mulberry that we've been playing with has marketability, you know, to bring this to the grocery store. Most people have never even tasted a mulberry. Crazy to me, you know, like I grew up stained mouth and hands from climbing mulberry trees. You know, those are my best childhood memories, and eating citrus and things like that, you know, and let's make that normal again.
But that's the dream, man. You're living it. You know, you said before, you're like a big kid just playing in the forest, like this Willy Wonka of the forest, just eating all these epic
Well, not just here too. When I go to work, I'm a big kid, man. I get in tractors and I get to tear up people's yards. Like I get to make a mess and rip all this shit out that does nothing and put something cool in. Like I get to play with big machines. Like, I mean, it's all awesome. Yeah, it really is. I get to have fun at work. I get to come home and have fun. I mean, to me, it's definitely living the dream. I feel really blessed to be where I am in life, and very rich in many ways, other than, you know, having millions of dollars in the bank. You know, it's not about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's about
abundance, and just wealth in other ways, that you can't buy these days. I mean, you can't buy the fruit we've been tasting. You can't buy the health out of these things that we can grow. It's
that quality of life.
That's it, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Also right there is no joke, man.
When did you cut this last? This is like nipple high.
So I cut this 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, and I cut that 3 weeks ago. I mean,
right behind way left.
I like the vetiver because it's less aggressive, but look how much biomass we have, So if you have the ways to maintain this should be cut almost every 2 weeks, I mean, like this stuff has to be cut, and that was something they talked about in the Syntropic course. And, he said that one cut put to the beds, one cut back to the ground.
Yeah, back to the grass where it came from.
Yeah, and I never did that. I always pulled it out, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
How's your Mombasa taking the frost?
Huh?
How is it taking the cold?
Amazing.
Really?
It's been here since 2000. 2020. I'm sorry, 2020. 4 years. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's taking it no problem. I have a rancher friend that has 3,000 acres of this up in Floral City that he's growing for cattle. Yeah, he's doing like 100-acre, 200-acre, 300-acre trial crops of like Mexican sunflower.
That's what we need. We need those kind of like levels of trials.
Yeah, that's what's going to change. Is his daddy did it regular. He was a regular rancher, and he's changing like the whole cycle. You know what I mean? As far as the finishing of the animal and the fact that he's finally, there's so many people that do grass-fed beef properly and they screw it up in 5 minutes. You screw it up finishing it with the corn or grains or whatever it is, and then, or B, you screw it up taking it to a processor. It doesn't let the hormones or the animal relax. Like I've seen beef that's had an amazing life on grass, and then they put that thing in a trailer and, they take him to the processor and they open the door and they finish him without letting him de-stress and relax. And the meat tastes like metal. The finishing process on the grass with the right amount of nutrients, that's what this guy's trying to figure out, is to get it to match the marbling and stuff they would get out of the corn that everybody wants, you know what I mean? And I think this lady in Tallahassee has it dialed in like it is. You guys tell me after you taste the beef.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you'd be like, holy yeah.
It was fantastic. Great to meet you, Pete. Let's keep growing.